Imagine this, a quiet afternoon in the New Mexico desert, where the vast, sun-baked landscape hides secrets beneath its cracked earth. A simple walk with a loyal companion turns into the unraveling of a nightmare that had been buried for years. What started as an ordinary discovery would expose a pattern of profound loss, touching the lives of families forever changed. Welcome to the story of the West Mesa case, a chapter of unresolved sorrow from Albuquerque that still echoes today. The city of Albuquerque, New Mexico, sits cradled by the Sandia Mountains to the east and stretches westward into arid mesas, those flat-topped plateaus of red rock and scrub brush that define the high desert. In the early 2000s, the area around the West Mesa was a mix of quiet neighborhoods and undeveloped land on the city's southwest side, near the intersection of 118th Street and Dennis Chavez Boulevard. It was a place where the urban edge met the wild expanse, dotted with arroyos that carried flash floods during rare summer storms. Development had begun creeping in, with plans for new homes platted across the terrain. But the economic downturn of 2008 stalled those dreams, leaving the ground untouched and vulnerable. Satellite images from the time would later reveal tire tracks and patches of disturbed soil in this remote spot, signs of activity that went unnoticed. Amid the everyday rhythm of life in a city known for its vibrant culture, hot air balloons, and resilient spirit, the women whose stories converged here were daughters, sisters, cousins, and friends, each with dreams, struggles, and moments of joy that made them irreplaceable. They ranged in age from just 15 to 32, many navigating the harsh realities of street life in Albuquerque, where involvement with substances and survival work cast long shadows over their paths. Monica Diana Candelaria, 22, vanished on May 15, 2003, after stepping out into the world she knew so well. Just weeks later, on June 5, Victoria Ann Chavez, 26, a lover of the outdoors who found peace in nature's embrace, disappeared without a trace. Solania Tarine Edwards, only 15 and the youngest among them, had run away from her home in Lawton, Oklahoma, seeking something better. She was last seen on August 17, 2003, her youthful spirit cut short, far from familiar faces. Doreen Marquez, 24, followed on October 10, 2003, leaving behind a life marked by quiet determination. As 2004 unfolded, the losses mounted. Veronica Romero, 28, known for her sharp wit and kind heart, went missing on February 14. The day, meant for celebration, turned into endless worry for her loved ones. On March 26, two cousins, Jamie Katerina Barella, just 15 and full of teenage curiosity, and Evelyn Jesus Maria Salazar, 27, who shared a deep family bond with her, left a gathering and headed to a nearby park. They were never seen again, their absence ripping through their shared world. Virginia Cloven, 24, disappeared on April 13th. Her father later recalling her infectious laugh that could light up any room. Julie Cindy Naito, 24, vanished on July 15th, remembered by those close to her for her gentle nature. Cinnamon Elks, 32, the oldest, slipped away on August 20th, her life a testament to endurance amid hardship. Finally, on September 22nd, Michelle Gina Valdez, 22 and 4 months into expecting her child, brought light to those around her with her radiant smile. Her disappearance carried the weight of 2 precious lives. These women, mostly from the Hispanic community that forms the heartbeat of Albuquerque, crossed paths in the underbelly of the city, places where vulnerability met opportunity and where the risks of their circumstances loomed large. Families reported them missing over those 2 years, from 2003 to 2004, but the cases lingered in a file of cold leads, their stories blending into the statistic of the unseen. Unbeknownst to anyone at the time, their remains would come to rest in shallow graves on the West Mesa, spaced out across about 15 acres of that desolate land, wrapped in remnants of clothing or tarps, as if hastily concealed by someone familiar with the terrain's isolation. It was a crisp winter morning on February 2nd, 2009, when Christine McCain, out for a routine walk with her dog along the West Mesa trails, spotted something unusual protruding from the dry soil near a stormwater retention pond. The bone, weathered but unmistakably human, caught her eye amid the sagebrush and gravel. Heart pounding, she collected it carefully and rushed home to call the Albuquerque Police Department. Officers arrived swiftly, confirming the grim find through initial analysis. What followed was a meticulous excavation that stretched over weeks, transforming the quiet mesa into a hive of activity under the watchful eyes of forensic teams in white suits, sifting through layers of earth with trowels and screens. As the digging deepened, the scope widened dramatically. First, a skull emerged, then fragments of clothing and more bones scattered but telling a story of multiple individuals. By mid-February, authorities had uncovered the skeletal remains of 11 women, along with the tiny bones of an unborn fetus, all bearing signs of homicidal violence, blunt force trauma, bindings, and other indicators of a forceful end. The site, just yards from where future homes might have stood, had been exposed partly by a retaining wall built to manage rainwater, which had eroded the soil just enough to reveal that first bone. News crews gathered at the perimeter, helicopters buzzed overhead, and the community reeled as details leaked out. 11 lives, lost between 2003 and 2005, buried in clusters as if deposited over time by a single hand or a coordinated effort. DNA testing, dental records, and family tips would confirm their identities one by one, each match bringing a mix of relief and renewed anguish to waiting relatives. The Albuquerque Police Department mobilized quickly, forming the 118th Street Task Force under the leadership of seasoned detectives like Liz Thompson and Mark Geyer. From the outset, the pattern screamed of a deliberate actor-graves aligned north-south, victims bound in similar ways, and the remote yet accessible location suggesting someone local who knew how to evade notice. Investigators pored over missing persons files, zeroing in on women from vulnerable walks of life. Many linked to areas like Central Avenue where survival work was common. Interviews with families painted vivid portraits: Victoria Chavez's love for hiking, Michelle Valdez's excitement about motherhood, Jamie Barella's playful spirit, shared with her cousin, Evelyn. Leads trickled in through a dedicated tip line, with over 5,000 calls flooding in the first year alone. Forensic experts analyzed soil samples, tire tracks from satellite photos dating back to 2003 to 2005, and even a small plastic tag from a nursery plant found near one gave a clue that pointed toward landscaping connections. In 2010, to shake loose more information, the task force released composite sketches and photos of 7 unidentified women, believed to be potential witnesses or additional cases, sparking identifications, some alive and willing to talk, others confirmed as having passed from natural causes. A $100,000 reward, pooled from police, the FBI, and victims' families, was announced to encourage whispers from the shadows. Broader angles emerged, to an anonymous tip about ties to an international figure from El Salvador. Whispers of a trafficking network spanning Texas to Denver, preying on women during events like the state fair. Yet progress was painstaking. The passage of years had faded memories, and the economic crash that preserved the site also meant fewer eyes on the ground during the critical window. Then came the layers that deepened the mystery, revelations that narrowed the focus but offered no final answers. Among the persons of interest who rose to prominence was Lorenzo Matthew Montoya, a 39-year-old local with a documented history of encounters with law enforcement involving women in street situations during the early 2000s. In December 2006, years before the Mesa Espa's secrets surfaced, Montoya had been involved in a violent confrontation where he bound and harmed a young woman working in that world. He was fatally shot during the incident by her protector. After the 2009 discovery, his name surfaced repeatedly in tips, his pattern of behavior aligning eerily with the cases, and the timeline halting around his passing fueled speculation that the Mesa S tragedies may have ended with him. But without opportunity for full forensic comparison, current laws at the time barred entering DNA from deceased individuals not formally charged. Confirmation remained elusive. Another figure drew intense scrutiny: Joseph Daniel Blee, a landscaper in his 40s whose ex-wife tipped off police just days after the initial find, citing his habits of cruising known areas and his access to the kind of vehicle that could navigate the Mesa. Blee, already facing his own legal troubles, had frequented nurseries matching that plant tag, and investigators uncovered women's clothing and jewelry in his possession that raised questions. By 2015, he was serving a lengthy sentence for separate convictions involving non-consensual acts against several women, including a minor, but he has never been linked definitively to the Mesa through evidence or admission. Other names flickered: a pimp named Fred Reynolds with photos of missing women, a convicted offender like Scott Lee Kimball who briefly claimed attention but none stuck. Detective Geyer, reflecting before retirement, called Montoya and Blee the strongest candidates, yet admitted the truth might lie with someone overlooked entirely. As of 2025, legislative pushes in New Mexico aim to amend DNA entry rules for the deceased, offering a glimmer of hope to test lingering samples and potentially close this chapter. For the families, closure remains a distant horizon, marked by annual memorials where balloons float skyward in honor of the lost, and vigils that keep the flame of memory alive. The task force persists, now under the cold case unit, sifting old tips and chasing 9 additional missing women from 2001 to 2006, whose profiles mirror the Mesa's Darlene Marie Trujillo, Martha Jo Lucher, Anna Love Vigil, Felipa Victoria Gonzalez, Nina Brenda Heron, Jillian Elizabeth Henderson Ortiz, Chantel Monique Waits, Leah Rochelle Peebles, and Vanessa Reed Fearing. They too met tragic fates in the same shadows. The reward stands firm, a beacon for anyone holding a key piece. In Albuquerque's resilient community, these women are not footnotes. They are woven into the city's story, their absences a call for justice that endures. Though no one has faced accountability in a courtroom, the ongoing pursuit honors their lives, ensuring the desert's silence is met with unyielding voices. What clues do you think investigators might have missed in the West Mesa case? Could the plant tag or tire tracks finally crack it open? And if you knew someone from that time in Albuquerque, what would you share to help these families find peace? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every one. If this story moved you, hit that subscribe button on Crime Justice for more deep dives into cases that demand attention, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. For subtitles or closed captions, check the settings wheel. Let's keep the conversation going responsibly. Thanks for watching, and remember, justice starts with awareness.